Niue Health Department this morning confirmed that Niue has got 3 cases of dengue, with 2 patients isolated at the hospital and 1 at home. Manager of Niue Fall Hospital, Mr. Bob Talangi, said this morning the department can now confirm the 3 cases. However, some samples will be sent to New Zealand on Friday for further identification, but the department is positive the 3 cases are dengue confirmed. Today we spoke to the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Eddie Akawala, on the dengue cases and his advice for the people.
At the moment we have 2 confirmed cases and they are hospitalized here in Niue Fall Hospital to be isolated from the rest of the public. But the message is for everybody on the island to be aware that the dengue virus is here, and we should all work together to destroy the breeding ground for the mosquitoes, and also to stay away from, have something to protect everyone from the mosquitoes so that they don't get bitten, because we don't know which are the harmless ones and which are the harmful ones. So I think this message is just a warning or awareness. Let the people understand what's on the island and do something about it, rather than waiting for too late to get sick and come to hospital.
What is the likelihood that this is too late already? I mean, these 2 cases have just been identified in perhaps yesterday or today, and we understand that one of the patients was admitted over the weekend on Saturday.
I think it's not too late, because that is when they come into the hospital. We suspect this might be an imported case. Dengue virus is around the world, and it has been in Niue before, and they fade out or died out, but still they survive in other countries. And because this time, in this day and age, a lot of travelers moving around, and they can carry the virus in their blood. They may show the symptoms, they may not. They may feel sick, they may not. But they eventually end up at our doorstep. They come into Niue, and we all know that there are only 2 port of entries, the point of entries, the airport and the wharf, or by air or by sea. And because we have a plane coming in every week, that's the one that we suspected that might have brought in the disease. We have started some prevention measures, and my counterpart will talk more on that, on the prevention measures, because we have 2 major components for medicine. Number 1 is the prevention part, which is done by our public health staff. And they have done a lot about this dengue thing. They have gone around the island and sprayed the suspected areas where these people are staying or where they have worked, and they're going to respray it again. And some awareness have been done by word of mouth, and this is the one on the TV, and we're going to make some more awareness program on the radio, and hopefully go on to schools and other public places, but that will be explained by our public health staff.
How serious are these cases, and are you concerned from the hospital or health department's point of view?
At present, they are in critical stage, but stable. We are not worried. The likelihood of being died from the disease is very, very less likely. But it is serious enough, considering the population of Niue is only around 1,500. 1 person infected is too many. But to answer to your question, the stage at the moment is not too serious. So it doesn't cause it. People should not panic and jump around at this time. It is just to let them aware that dengue is here now, and it's going to stay with us for a while if we are not careful. And we should work together to try and eradicate it as soon as possible.
Dr. Akawala also said awareness is also a key to identifying the symptoms early. Just the symptoms that people need to be aware of.
Fever, bleeding from the nose, bleeding from the gums when they brush their teeth, rash in their body, headache. If they have some of those, please come to the hospital, seek help. But if it is just like a flu-like illness, because you can't really differentiate a mild dengue from a normal flu, just drink Panadol, drink a lot of fluid, and rest. Rest is very important so that the immune system can cope with the virus and try and kill the virus.
The hospital suspected the dreaded bug arrived off a flight, but the department is working on contact tracing to ensure all possible measures are taken to avoid further contractions of the deadly disease. All awareness to prevent an outbreak, says the hospital, must be taken, and the public should not be alarmed but be aware of mosquito breeding areas and destroy them immediately. As with most countries Niueans travel to, dengue is always prominent, but it is up to the public to ensure their safety and follow instructions when advised. Leaky roofs and state of classrooms at the ECE and Niue Primary School has caused an outcry from parents for the Education Department to address the problem sooner rather than later. The start of the new school year was postponed due to bad weather and conditions that required staff to mop up and get classrooms ready for students, but this is a problem that a source says is not new. Niue Primary School PTA chairperson Natasha Tohovaka says that this is an inherited problem that has become their mission since being elected in April of last year to ensure that students' learning environment is safe and conducive to their learning.
There are a lot of leaky roofs at the moment, and I had a visit down there, and teachers are having to use buckets to catch water, that's leaking through the roofs. It hasn't been also very good because they aren't able to use electricity and when it rains. So the conditions that they are in, especially when it rains, is not very good for the teachers and the students at the present moment. Well, we've been working closely at the moment, especially in the last few weeks, with the Niue Primary School principal as well as the Department of Education to try and find funding, because not a lot of funds have been allocated for maintenance of the school, and therefore we're working very close with education, and they've been quite forthcoming in helping us look for funds to try and address the problems, especially because a lot of parents were concerned, particularly one day last week when it was a lot of heavy rain and children were the verandas were very slippery, and was pretty unsafe for the kids to be in, pretty unsafe environment for the kids to be in. So at this stage, we have got some positive feedback from education and trying to find funds to help offer a temporary short-term solution to the problem that they have now with the leaking roofs.
Discussions with the department have not received definite answers, but assessments have been done to find their best resolution.
We've taken this matter to the Department of Education, the director and the principal time and time again. But we're also collecting a lot of, we're doing quite a few assessments. We have a builder who did an assessment last week on the conditions of the roofs. We have we've asked the Niue Power Company as well to come and do an assessment on the state of the electricity. So we're trying to gather as much information as we can, putting down costings on giving us the best solutions to help repair the roofs, so that we can get funding from government to commit to fixing or creating better conditions and fixing the problem that we have at the moment. The only current issue that has sort of that's been a problem in the past is the fact that there's a relocation that was earmarked for the Niue Primary School to move up to Paliasi, and that's sort of parents haven't been aware of when exactly these dates are, and hopefully they'll give us an exact date. But regardless of the fact that the relocation is taking place, whether it's a year or 2 years from now, something needs to be done urgently, and that's what we're working with education to do, and to hopefully help improve the current conditions of the school.
However, there are no definite dates or timelines for this proposed relocation. The Minister and Director of Education were both unavailable for comment. Taongiwe has instigated work on Niue's mapping of cultural heritage sites, starting with the clearing of an old village settlement site, Fasio Tuai. Last Saturday saw a good turnout from people on the island to assist with the cleanup of this historical area, and this is the second clearing exercise instigated by Taongiwe and the Waia Village Council. Taongiwe Director Mura Inetama says it's interesting to see the level of community support for the project. The cultural mapping project looks to document information that will enrich Niue's cultural history, but also foster a greater appreciation for cultural heritage sites amongst its people. Mura says this is history in the making, in a sense that we are going back to try and document some of what has been lost with the passage of time. The vision is to see the village site restored to have some indication that it was a settlement before, and there is also potential for tourism development. The next clean-up exercise will be in 3 weeks' time. Work on a faulty power cable in Alofi North is finally underway following delays due to wet weather. Niue Power General Manager Speedo Hetutu says that work was meant to begin in January but was delayed by 3 to 4 weeks, but did not affect customers that much.
For operation, all the customers are not affected. Only one service that has been affected. It's the broadcasting station, BCN, because they need free-phase power up at the site, and because we have one faulty cable, we cannot supply them with free-phase power, but we supply with standby gen for them. But looking at most of the customers, all of the customers are not affected other than BCN. The space for the traffic, it will be limited to one vehicle, so it's speeding, but up to now we do not have any problem other than no much problem with the people using the road, but it's just to caution them to drive not extra slow, but be aware that otherwise they will end up in the trench. But up to now there's just a driving habits to cooperate with what we're doing.
Speedo says a precautionary measure road users need to be mindful of work being carried out for safety purposes. He also says that these unexpected cable faults will not affect the corporation's work to renew cabling around the island. It just means adjustments to their work schedule for the EDF-10 project.
This is how we will be operating on the cables. If there's a fault in La Kepa, we stop what we're doing with our relocation project, go to that area and try and fix the cable or pull a new cable and come back to continue. So that is the trend that we will be seeing on this cable replacement project for this year, and we're hoping to complete by the end of this year.
Work on the stretch of road in Alofi North, however, should be completed by the next week if all goes according to plans. And to end our news bulletin, Cabinet has approved the participation of 2 Niue High School students to the upcoming Young Palm meeting in Japan, and they will be chaperoned to the summit by one of the teachers of Niue Primary School. Liliane Morrissey and Janam Hopatoa will represent Niue at the summit, chaperoned by Mrs. Mokavaha. PALM is the Pacific Island Leaders Meeting held every year since 1997, where leaders from Pacific Island countries openly discuss various issues that they are facing in order to build close cooperative relationships and forge a bond of friendship between Japan and Pacific Island countries. This will be the first time Young Palm will run concurrently with the 6th Pacific Island Leaders Meeting, or Palm 6, with the aim of fostering mutual understanding and friendly relationships through the experience of Young Palm. The program focuses on environmental issues as one of the common concern in the Pacific through open-air study and discussions with students from Japan. Findings and recommendations from Young Palm will be proposed to the Pacific Island Leaders Meeting at Palm 6, where the Honourable Premier Tokitalangi, who is also the Minister for Youth and Sports Development, will be attending. Young Palm will take place in Okinawa, Japan from the 21st to the 27th of May 2012 and Palm 6 on the 25th to the 26th of May. That's our evening news for tonight. Good night.